Hello and welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming. And as we get started here, um, I'm just going to ask that, I'm really new at all this, and as I get my sea legs under me for running the video, doing some spinning on live stream, introducing my videos, it's going to cause me to say some things, and I have a speech impediment. So thank you for your understanding in my live streaming. The editing that I've done with the videos that we're going to be showing edits out a lot of my speech impediments, so live stream is going to be a bit different. I'll try to keep my language to a minimum of mistakes, and thanks for your understanding. And thank you for joining. My forte is not public speaking, and I do have a lot of anxiety and fear about it, but I am overjoyed and excited to show you the things that I've been working on for the past few months. So it's really, it's been a real great trip, and I'd like to show you my dream for the next part of what I've been doing. So with that, let's start it. We'll start our video, and then we'll, after the first video, we'll connect up and start another quick little vignette after that. Welcome and greetings, everyone. My name is Jan Weinholz, and I'm here today to introduce you to Double DIamond Craftworks, my own endeavor that I've been embarking on for the past few months. There's a better angle of me. Thanks, Abe. Anyway, so what am I doing? I'm making spinning wheels. I learned how to spin yarn when I was a wee young pup, and it's been a lot of fun. And I was into weaving and all of that stuff that my mom was doing. And my mom, Stephanie Gausted, has made quite a name for herself, reproducing all kinds of historical garments and all kinds of historical textiles, and writing about textiles and teaching about spinning, weaving, lace making, tatting. Very fun little motor spinner and my first project. So in the next few videos, I'll introduce more of the Phoenix and its features, and you can see there's some of the items that I've pulled off with, trust me, very little skill as a spinner. So this is a real fun little spinner. Well, that's it for now, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep on treadling. Sorry for the technical difficulties there. We're getting this sorted out, but as I said before, we'll have all these videos posted separate from the live stream, as well as I'll be posting the whole entire live stream as well. So with that, let's do some spinning. I'm going to be spinning some wool today, right now, and here we go. This is all we do. We're all ready. And so here we go. Please forgive my skills as a spinner. I am not a very good spinner. Although I've been spinning since I was 5 years old, I have not been actually completing any projects. I think one of the important things about being a spinner is completing projects, and completing projects to a consistency that you want for your hand spun. So although I've been spinning for a long time, I've only for the past month been trying to spin for consistency and spin for projects. And I've actually this month completed my first spinning project. So let's get a look at that. Here is my spinning project that I did knit as well. I was doing this as a demonstration piece of what one bobbinful of hand spun wool could be made into. This is about 28 inches long and about 6.5 or 7 inches wide. It's plain knit and it has a lot of really nice bounce and it is super soft. And it's my first completed spinning project. And I completed it with this motor spinner, and it was a lot of fun. It's a 2-ply yarn. I did a 2-ply. It's spun in Z and then plied in S. And I really had a great time doing it. And let's see, I wrote down some other things about it. So another big question is, how long does a project like this take? I am not a great or fast spinner. This took me about 7 hours of spinning and about an hour to ply and set twist. So as you get more practice, trust me, one bobbin full in 7 hours is very slow. As you get faster, and even in the past couple weeks, I've gotten much, much faster than that. And then the knitting, it was about, so it's 30 stitches across. It's roughly 250 rows long, and that took me about 14 or 16 hours as well. So again, it did take a relatively, long amount of time comparing to going out and getting a scarf from Ross, but this is, a really nice, warm and soft scarf that is going to be really nice on my neck and it'll stay like this for a long time. So yeah, that's my scarf. And so let's get into another tidbit of what we'll be looking at for the live stream. Here you can see my microscope, and we're looking at the eye of a stamp. And usually a piece of paper like this is just how I set my focus to look at other interesting things. So I thought, what fun would it be to look at different fibers, different hand spun, and different, also, different mill spun and different, commercially created cloth, as well as some hand spun. So there is some hand spun from my mom. She knit me those socks. And just kind of look at how the fiber all kind of looks all woolly and has a fairly large, each one of the fibers is fairly large, but there's a lot of fuzziness into it. So this is a hand spun, and just look at how fuzzy that is. Now let's try a different fiber. Let's try a mill spun fiber, like a sock. We're just going to try part of a Carhartt brand cotton polyblend sock. So we went from a hand knit sock to a commercially mill knit sock. And let's take a look at the difference as I pull focus. So look at how these are also fuzzy. But look at how organized and small those fibers are. Cotton is a very fine fiber. And look at how finely together those are knit and how small each one of those different individual strands are and how even those strands. Isn't that just cool? I think it's so cool. So let's look at some other fibers. So just so that you can see it up close, that here was the sock that we were just looking at. And then here's the hand spun sock that we were looking at as well. Let's look at this piece, which I just thought was amazing. So this is a baby, so this is part of a linen set for a crib. It's a sheet for baby crib, and it was given to me by my grandmother, who got it from Holland. And this was the kind of quality linen that you could find in Europe around the turn of the century. So I just think that's amazing. This is not hand spun, this is mill, but it's so soft. The way that this the way that this textile feels is just amazing. Calling it, it's truly baby soft. It's just so cool. So, and looking at the fiber structure, that plain weave is just so tight, but yet there's a lot of space in between the warp and the weft. And so that gives it not only a lot of softness and bounce, but it also gives space for the soft fibers to inhabit. So again, I think looking at some of the things that you make up close. So let's also take a look at this scarf that I made in hand spun, and we'll take a look at how that looks under the microscope. And yeah, look at that. It just looks like a giant bundle of clouds. And seeing it up close like this kind of gives you a clue as to how it feels in your hand. It's going to be, all of that fluffiness is really going to be a, real soft, fluffy cloud type of feeling. So with that, let's go into another movie and hope that this works at this time. Welcome and greetings, everyone. My name is Hello and welcome. My name is Jan, and today I have this distinct joy and honor of introducing to you the Phoenix Motor Spinner. The Phoenix Motor Spinner is a motor spinner meant for the hand spinning of yarn. The big feature I'm showing off right here is the double drive. You can reconfigure it with a brake as a single, and it has a traditional tilt tensioning system that should be familiar to most spinners. And from the feature set, let's start off with the flyer. The flyer is balanced for both static and dynamic balance. Both the bobbin and the flyer have been balanced for each of their mass, so that their mass balance in relation to each other is really nice for spinning. And talking about some of the balance is some of the drive ratios. These drive ratios are chosen for smaller weight yarns, and I have surveyed more than 20 plus wheels and in person and looked at probably hundreds of pictures of historical examples, and all looking at specifically the drive ratios. I have chosen one pulley for a lighter take-up and spinning small singles, and another pulley for stronger take-up and plying larger singles. The smaller pulley for light take-up is pictured here. This makes for responsive and predictable take-up for a spinner. The hooks are spring-tempered steel, also known as music wire. The flyer shaft is hand machined, polished, and finished, and its high-speed steel construction will give years and years of very, very tough use. It's got a 1/4 inch orifice size, and the bobbin capacity is about 3 to 4 ounces of finished yarn. It's hand turned, hand assembled. Also notice the skateboard bearings. These skateboard bearings are pretty much maintenance free, need very little cleaning and very little oiling. I have not oiled these once over about the past month that I've been using it and putting it through some pretty heavy testing and rugged use. They also spin very freely and allow a very easy travel for all of the components. It's also powered by a drone motor. A drone motor is very consistent in its torque and its speed output. And paired along with this drone motor are no custom boards or electronics. All of these are just standard RC parts glued together or not even glued, but just affixed to the back of the control board. The next feature is this reduction pulley. This reduction pulley allows for a lot of different drive cord choices. This allows for a natural slip and a much more natural feel that's much more akin to a treadle wheel. And this design is based on a 1803 Amos Minor driven spindle, but done in reverse so that the motor would spin faster and produce more torque on the output shaft for the flyer, as opposed for the Amos Minor driven spindle, which does the opposite, which spins the driven spindle faster and reduces the torque. All of this is hardwood construction, in this case reclaimed maple. I will always purchase either reclaimed or sustainably harvested and locally purchased hardwood for all of these builds. And speaking of building, these are all handmade in California by me, hand balanced and hand assembled. Also notice the rubber feet. The rubber feet keep it from skittering across the table as it's spinning, although there is very little vibration and very little noise from this, as you'll see when we get to spinning with it in some later videos. It weighs under 5 kilograms or 10 pounds, and it is a joy to spin on, as I can attest to personally. I've done a lot of spinning with this little machine, and it has been just, all I can say is it has challenged me for my spinning skills, and I don't think about the machine. And I don't think about the machine or what the device that is making the yarn or providing the twist is doing. All I'm thinking about is making yarn and putting the correct amount of material in the drafting zone and pinching and doing the correct drafting techniques to make the yarn that I'm trying to produce. Which brings us to the reasons why for making the Phoenix in the first place. Why would you make a motor spinner when so many are available? It goes back to one of the main features of the cotton drive cord. This feels more like a treadle wheel. And with the added benefit of just being able to turn on and go. The double drive allows for much less adjustment during its spinning, and once you get it adjusted the first time, it's just a mild, consistent take-up so that you can focus on drafting. and there's little or no adjustment that happen. I really don't adjust it as the bobbin fills. I don't need to, and that lets me focus on drafting and yarn production of yarn. And in addition, this opens up a wider range of fiber choices. I'm able to spin flax, cotton, alpaca, and a wider range of fibers that I think would be possible on the contemporary motor spinners available today. It is designed as a production wheel. It's also easily transportable. I've taken it camping, to sheep to shawl, and then just going outside when it's nice. It's very efficient and a power sipper. It can be spun on a battery. I have a Jackery 160 that can run it for over 8 hours with no problem. And some of the other things that go along with this are, I will support this with a lifetime warranty. I believe that this will bring hours and lifetimes of very fun spinning use, because really the important parts are overbuilt. Also, if you are trying to spin, there will be no voided warranties with this. You can hack away with this. Its design allows for hackability. If you want to try a different drive cord, a different braking material besides fishing line, if you want to try even a different motor or a different set of electronics, I will continue to support this with its lifetime warranty, and I want everyone to feel like not only that they can use this tool, but that they can modify and accommodate the different the needs of their spinning by modifying their tool. You'll also be supporting a family-run business. This is my first attempt at a family-run business, and every customer I want to feel that they're supported by all of the knowledge and all of the support that I could give them in supporting one of the product in something that I really love to use myself. And you can continue a second generation of wheel making. Alden Amos, my stepdad, made wheels for most of his life, and I'd like to continue in being able to make available the kind of quality that he would like to he would be proud of. And I think that this is something that is that. It's a lot of fun to spin on, and it goes for hours at a time with no problems. And it's every good as a motor spinner as I've ever spun on. So with that, we'll go into other questions. How long will it take to fulfill an order? My goal is 2 weeks from order confirmation to your spinner being shipped. If you have if you have other time constraints, please let me know, and I can try to make accommodations for that. Why not a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe? And my answer to that is I can already make a website, and I have a bank account to do my own transactions, and 15% for those services is much too steep. Next question is automation and CNC. I would love to do that when the time comes. It's a lot of change up from the hand tooling that I've spun up now. I'd love to lower the cost and produce more units. Until then, each one will be handmade and hand finished. Next questions is how much is it? It's quite expensive, and it will be $2,200 US plus tax, and it will include free shipping though. Why so expensive? There's a lot of very small details that take quite a lot of time with this build. I really wish it didn't cost so much. And as I continue on making these, I will absolutely be working to lower cost while maintaining quality. That's going to take a calculated level of demand to keep up with. And until demand significantly raises and I can significantly change my manufacturing processes, it's going to be this expensive. And I will be working to lower those costs, but for right now, it's a significant investment of time for me to put each one of these together, as well as a few $100s of materials. But to round out the answer to that question, good tools are always worth it. And it's always better, in my estimation, that if you know that you're going to be using this tool a lot, it's better just to buy once and cry once. So with that, we're closing out this video in an introduction to the Phoenix Motor Spinner. Thank you for joining us, and tune in as we do more spinning, do more discussion of the history of spinning. Thanks again, and keep treadling. And we're back. So here we're looking at another. I hope you guys liked that video of the introduction to the Phoenix. Yeah. Here we'll fire up some more, and yeah, you guys can take a look at what I've put on the screen there, which is a little bit more of that of a scarf from that was a gift from me. That's a mill spun. It's a commercially produced garment, but it's wool. And look, what I thought would be interesting is just looking at how much it resembles some of the synthetic and some of the other fibers, that it's almost unrecognizable from the hand spun scarf, the white one that I had, my first white scarf that I showed earlier. And this kind of gives the reason why a lot of the hand spun is very different from, you know, what you can find in, you know, for suits and other, you know, fibers that you buy from, you know, commercially available sources. And one of the great differences between hand spun and especially for wool is that, you know, one of the common complaints that I've heard is that, you know, oh, wool is so scratchy. Well, hand spun wool is probably as soft as anything that you will ever feel. So it's not that wool itself is scratchy. It's a lot of the treatments that they do to the wool to get it to spin evenly and to card evenly and to be all the things that it will do in the spinning and preparation of it. So each one of these, some of them are coatings, some of them are treatments to the wool itself. There's 31 extra herbs and spices that they put on all of the different animal fibers to spoil them. Oh, thanks, Ron. So with that, thanks for tuning in, and so let's go watch our next big movie. Welcome and greetings, everyone. Hello and welcome. My name is Jan, and today we're going to be doing a brief history of spinning. This is a really huge subject. For example, this book, Selected Canadian Spinning Wheels in Perspective, an Analytical Approach, is a history of spinning in Canada. It's 350 pages. It's written by Judith Buxton Keenlyside, and it is an amazing reference on spinning wheels in Canada. However, this is a slice of history, and it covers 200 years of one country. So we're going to go over a brief history of hand spinning in a kind of rambling tea and cakes format. I'll be outlining the brief history and just going over some interesting historical facts that should be interesting to hand spinners and everyone. And some other notes on my sources. There are these items made from dead trees called books, and they're great resources. The inspiration for this whole video is actually this book, Spin, Span, Spun by Betty Hochberg. She is an amazing author and an amazing, she writes a lot of amazing materials for hand spinners and art historians and everyone. So if you can get a hold of her books, every single one of them is a treasure. Another resource that I've been using is Alden Amos's Big Book of Hand Spinning. Another great resource for hand spinners and anyone interested in hand spinning. So with all that said, bring your cuppa and let's go. Spinning has been practiced by humans for at least 10,000 years. Twisted fiber and evidence of twisted fiber has been found just about everywhere that we find human beings during the spinning of the past 10,000 years. Even the Old Testament, before, when it used pictograms for the names of each one of the people in the Bible, used the pictograms for Eve as a spindle and Adam as a plow. And thus the authors of the Bible, or the Old Testament, acknowledged the spindle's place in human history. But the evidence of spinning kind of shares qualities with dinosaur feathers. The degradation of the fibers in history makes it hard to directly find the items themselves, and so we say, oh, evidence of. Finding direct evidence, like Otzi the Iceman's woven grass raincoat. He had a raincoat, they think it was kind of like a raincoat, that fit over all of his other fur and animal pelt clothes, but it was clearly woven, so even Copper Age knew the theories behind twisting and weaving fiber. Some other indirect, and then when we say indirect evidence, we say things like needles. So we found needles made of bone and other things that have very small eyes, so the thread that used to thread them must have been very fine, and it must have been spun very fine. There's also imprints on pottery that show very fine textiles and very finely twisted textiles. However, spindles are the backbone of spinning. Oh, not that type of spinning. These types of spinning. So, these spindles are the root of our history of spinning. Wheels were introduced much later, probably about 1,000 years ago, and were brought from India and China to the rest of the world. We'll delve into those more in the second part. However, we'll go over some tidbits of the prehistory in the spindle and the rock and spin era of spinning. And we'll start in the Americas. In Danger Cave in the Great Salt Desert, a 6,000-year-old net pouch of milkweed fibers was found. And in the pre-Columbian Americas, all kinds of fibers were spun, including cotton, yucca, agave, nettles, and animal fibers such as llama, goat, and dog. And anything that they had available, they were spinning. In fact, the Incas saw and revered 3 llamas in the constellation Lyra. There were 2 older and 1 younger llamas, and this was something that they revered as a sacred thing. And in reading from Navajo legends, Spider Woman taught the Navajo women how to spin and how to weave on a loom which Spider-Man showed them how to make. The cross poles were made of earth, and the warp sticks were made of sun rays, and the heddles of rock crystal and sheet lightning. The batten was a sun halo, and white shell was used to make the comb. There were 4 spindles, one a stick of zigzag lightning with a whorl of cannel coal, one a stick of flash lightning with a whorl of turquoise. A 3rd spindle had a stick of flash lightning with a whorl of abalone. Rain formed the shaft of the 4th spindle, and its whorl was white shell. Now, aren't those just beautiful images? I just love thinking about that. Also, the Munduruku of South America believe that the creator was dragged into the underworld. They save themselves by making a cotton plant, which they then spun and braided into a rope in which they could escape. Cotton was used pretty widely by the Aztecs, and small little bits of cotton fabric were used as paper. In the indigenous of southern Mexico, they used wooden masks to perfect their skills in spinning and weaving. The masks would be borrowed with separate masks for the different stages of preparation, washers of wool, spinning, and weaving. The masks would be loaned by the local brujo, the shaman or medicine man, for 10 days and hung on the wall near those working, and would impart a near perfect skill in what they were doing. Moving across more to Asia. Chinese Empress Si Ling is known as the goddess of silk in China. In 2640 BCE, a silkworm cocoon fell into her warm tea. The warm tea loosened the fibers of the silkworm, and she realized it could be spun and woven into cloth. 2,400 years later, in the Han Dynasty, as this picture is depicting, the Chinese silk was known across Asia and Europe for its fine, elegant qualities, being described as translucent as ice and light as a cloud. Chinese were weaving on draw looms like this one before anyone else and during the Han Dynasty. Also during the Han Dynasty, the 6,000-mile Silk Road was open during this time. Stretching from Rome to Shangan, now Xi'an, this route brought silk valued at more than gold to the Middle East and Europe. A Roman emperor denied a request from his wife for a single scarf made of purple silk, with the reasoning being it was too expensive. Moving on to the Middle East and Africa. Linen fibers of 540 threads per inch are found in Egyptian mummies. Mummies have informed actually a lot of our knowledge of Egyptian fibers in general, as much as the hieroglyphs have. The hieroglyph Kes is a ball of thread with a high whorl spindle. Linen was cultivated in Egypt more than 5,000 years ago, and Isis, the fertility goddess of Egypt, of the ancient Egyptians, is believed to have gifted spinning and weaving to her people. She is usually depicted holding a shuttle, and those who worshipped her wore white linen and cotton. Pliny the Elder described cotton cultivation as well as the fine quality of the cotton garments which were produced in his History Naturalis. Moving on into Greek history, the three fates are Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. Clotho draws life from her distaff. Lachesis spins and winds it on her So it looks as though, sorry to stop the movie, guys. It looks as though we're having a real delay in our streaming. So I will post that whole video in its entirety as a separate video from this live stream. I'm going to record this as well and uploaded this. So don't worry, we'll be able to see that whole video. Let's go back into some more of this fiber fun. Some more of the microscope. Let's see now. So let's take a look at some cotton. This is a cotton towel. And just look at that. I mean, if that doesn't show you what soft feels like on the microscope, I don't know what could. I mean, just look at how all of the ends are just out there and fuzzy and just form this big shag carpet of fuzzy, even, soft cotton fibers. And so I just think looking at the microscope is one of the funnest ways to just take a look at the different properties of yarns and to just have some fun thinking about what it looks like when you were that, if you were to be that small, and all of the different properties of the different fibers and how they interact at that small scale. So and another note about the Phoenix here, I don't know how loud this sounds to you guys. I have a compressor mic that should basically make this sound like it's roaring. It's a roaring jet engine because of its rhythmic nature, but it's actually very quiet. I would say that this is about it's less quiet. It's quieter than a sewing machine. A sewing machine has quite a lot more winding motor noise, and also clacking of the different components as they reciprocate through the sewing action. But this is a fairly quiet motor spinner, and I have it standing on plywood and a motor and a wooden stand here. So this is tuned for, I'm basically putting it on top of a drum, on top of a drum, on top of a stage. So it's going to be as loud as it's ever going to be. So if it sounds loud, it's probably artificially sounding loud. It really is not that loud to me. It's very quiet. Another note about my spinning, I'm not a very good spinner. If it seems like I'm struggling, it's because I am. I'm still not very practiced at this. I'm making a lot of mistakes. I'm coloring outside of the lines. I'm manipulating this drafting zone way too much. So I'm still finding my own ways, and I'm still trying to adapt to how to spin well. But I want to make the point of, this whole time that I've been spinning, I have not touched really the motor spinner's adjustments. It's just been, I have turned it on and touched the dial for speed, and that's it. There's been no other adjustments that I've made for take-up. This double drive is just, it has this constant magic take-up that a good spinner would be able to produce much finer yarn and much more consistent yarn than I am able to show for you. So I hope this just demonstrates the capability of the machine. Please do not judge the machine based on my terrible spinning. And for my next trick, we're gonna try something, and I'm not sure how this is gonna go, but we're gonna give it a shot. And that's spinning something else. We're gonna try spinning a different fiber. Let's try spinning this flax. Flax is pretty tough, and please again, do not judge the motor spinner on the skills of my ability to spin flax. Flax is a really different fiber to spin, as any spinner would be able to attest to. And I'm just kind of doing this to demonstrate the capability of the machine, that it's basically up to the skill of the spinner to leverage this machine's incredible range. So this is an all hardwood construction. It will spin flax just fine. I please do not judge the machine based on my poor skills of spinning flax. I have not had a lot of time with this fiber. It is known to be a rather tough thing to get a hang of. You'll probably see me break a few times. You'll probably see me struggle with this and overspin and get things caught, which they have done. So see, I've overspun it. So one thing you can do is just wind it on by hand past, because they won't wind past the hooks. They get stuck. And so I'll just wind them by hand. This is a very common occurrence for a beginner spinner like me, and especially with something as challenging for a beginner as flax. Flax is not considered an easy fiber to spin, and it's tough to get consistent, but I just figure it's worth to show you that easy things should be easy,